you have done, and we thank you for this report today. And when we talk about predatory equity, we talk a lot about the landlords who turn harassment and pushing out rent-stabilized tenants into a business model. No matter that the business model has failed around the city, no matter that it destroys homes and communities, they continue to make the same investments. They continue to overpay for buildings, speculating that they will be able to drive out tenants, deregulate units, and make an enormous profit. But there are two sides to these investments. There are the landlords who buy up the buildings, and then there are the banks that front them the cash to do it. And as long as there are financial institutions that participate in over-leveraged deals, landlords will continue to have incentives to increase the rent rolls by pushing rent-stabilized tenants out and flipping rent-stabilized units. And at this point, we really have to ask ourselves, what excuse do these banks have? Do they have any excuse? No! We have seen so many of these deals go belly up. Perhaps the best example is the one that I experienced firsthand in Stuyvesant Town in Peter Cooper Village, where I have lived for nearly my whole life. You know what happened there. Tishman Speyer bought the entire property for a record-setting $5.4 billion and borrowed $4.4 billion to do so. And that business plan could only have been successful if enough rent-stabilized tenants were removed from their units so that their apartments, their homes, could be converted to the market rate.
That ain't right.
That ain't right. That ain't right. And sure enough, thousands of eviction proceedings were brought against tenants in these affordable units, and nearly half of the property was destabilized. Now, we fought back, and we won in that case a great victory of the preservation of 5,000 affordable units for middle-class tenants in Manhattan for the next 20 years. But the lesson was learned, or at least it should have been learned. Instead, we continue to see financial institutions willfully lending to developers and landlords who cannot possibly succeed without removing rent-stabilized tenants. And that's why we need better data on building finances, so that we can keep track of over-leveraged buildings and the landlords involved, because where they go, tenant harassment is sure to follow. That's why we formed a coalition. That's why we have stabilizing. That's why we're proposing legislation to do all this. We are ready to fight back. And ultimately, we need to hold lenders accountable, and that is what today is all about. So let us say it loud and clear. Banks here are not innocent participants in these financial deals involving housing. And if we want to stop predatory equity, we are going to need the banks to be with us. We need them to reform their lending practices and stop creating incentives to destabilize units. And that is why stabilizing NYC's work is so important. So I want to thank you for everything you do. I know that when the tenants are united, they will never be defeated.
The tenants united will never be defeated. The tenants united will never be defeated. The tenants united will never be defeated. The tenants united will never be defeated.